Dear students, I am Shashidhara, Assistant Professor of English. This is the third video on the prologue, The Day My World Changed, written by Malala. This prologue, as we already know, narrates the incidents of the day of attack, which was 9th October 2012. In the earlier videos, we have seen why terrorists attacked on Malala and what was the work of Malala towards education of girls in Pakistan, and how fundamentalists and terrorists controlled the society of Pakistan and prohibited education of girls in Pakistan. And in the second video, we have seen the secretly functioning school started by Malala's father. The name of the school was Kushal School. How girls found that school was as a magic world or heaven, and how it played an important role in giving education to girls who were threatened by terrorists and fundamentalists for going schools. And then you have seen how parental care and love was there on Malala. In this video, we are going to learn about the threats which terrorists and fundamentalists gave to Malala and her father for their work on education of girls in Pakistan, and how Malala and her father reacted to these kind of threats, especially Malala's reaction to these kind of threats and how she reacts psychologically. These are the things we are going to discuss in this video lesson. See, as you know, Malala worked for the girls who were deprived the right of education or the access to schools in Pakistan by terrorists and fundamentalists. Fundamentalists who prohibited access to schools for girls in Pakistan, and this injustice was not tolerated by Malala. She ran public campaigns, she spoke publicly, and she worked to get the right of education for girls in Pakistan like her. Though she was a girl of 15, she worked sincerely towards getting the right of education to all the girls in Pakistan like her. This work by Malala, who was inspired by her father, angered terrorists and fundamentalists. They did not like open campaigns and public speeches of Malala. They threatened both Malala and her father to life. They frequently threatened them, but Malala and her father did not deter or did not fear these kind of threats. They continued their work. Those terrorists who threatened them to stop their work on liberty of women or education of women wanted Malala and her father to stop all their activities. These threats did not create any fear or panic in Malala and her father. Her father was very supportive of Malala's work. He encouraged her. But in the meantime, there was an unfortunate incident that a fellow activist named Zahid Khan, who worked with Malala's father, was murdered was brutally killed by terrorists. While he was returning from prayer, he was killed by some terrorists. And around people in who were known to Malala's father told that Ziauddin or Malala's father would be the next target of the terrorists. See, under these circumstances, Malala's mother was very much troubled for the safety of her daughter Malala. She wanted her daughter to travel in buses to the school. She was very much panicked, but Ziauddin, Malala's father, he did not deter. He wanted to work more towards the right of women. He inspired his daughter to continue her work. Despite these threats, they continued their work. See, these kind of threats created a kind of psychological pressure on Malala. Though she was not fearful of these kind of threats, she daydreamed about the possible attack on her. She used to walk to her home after getting down from the bus. She thought that in that passage between the road and her house, she would be shot dead by a terrorist. She many a times imagined that if a terrorist come to attack her, she would convince him that she was against his ideology, not against any terrorist group. She prayed God, and during the time of uncertainty, she once dreamed that her father was attacked by terrorists and she was searching for her father. These kind of threats created a lot of pressure on the girl, on 15-year girl Malala. But she was not discouraged. She wanted to work towards the woman. She always thought that a terrorist group would not come after a girl of 15. All her emotional turmoils, all her fears, she discussed with her best friend Moniba. You have to remember this name. Moniba was one of the best friends of our closest friend of the closest friend of Malala. See, she told her anxieties, her fears with Moniba. These are the things you have to remember. Though Malala and her father received many threats, they continued their campaign, they continued their public speeches against the ideology of fundamentalists and terrorists. They wanted to secure the rights of women in Pakistan. Malala especially worked towards the educational right of all girls of her age. She wanted to see all the girls of her country who are of her age to go to school. She used to share all her anxieties, all her thoughts with her close friend Moniba. You have to remember the name. Moniba was the closest friend of Malala. She used to discuss her with her mind, like her hobbies, to about movies and say songs and all those things. She says that Moniba wanted to be a fashion designer, but she could not pursue that career or profession as her family was traditional, and that did not allow Moniba to be a fashion designer. But unlike Moniba's family, unlike Moniba's family, Malala's father encouraged his daughter, that Malala wanted to be a She openly said that she wanted to be a politician or an inventor in her life. See, though there were threats, Malala wanted to work towards the education of girls in Pakistan. See, these are the things you have to remember or you have to understand in this prologue.